Hello and welcome to the Pretty Good Gaming Podcast. My name's Mike Williams. I'm joined by Gareth Evans.
Hello.
And Jake Jones, who we need a nickname for.
JJ.
Hello.
It's got to be JJ, isn't it, right?
Yeah, because
JJ.
there already is Jake. There already is one Jake. Now we have a second Jake, which is just causing all kinds of chaos, like you wouldn't believe. So we're going to do, again this week, we're going to be running through all your questions like we've been doing. I really enjoy doing this. I think it's pretty settled at this point that this is kind of the way forward for now, at the very least. So let's jump straight into it. First question, which was asked on our Patreon page, from Giant Evil Pandas. He's come up with a big open question to start us off. What is the biggest impact you found gaming has had on the culture and the economy? Do you think it's had a more positive or negative impact? Which, you boil that down. Is gaming good or bad? Discuss. Great question there, Giant Evil Pandas. I think overall, it's just, of course it's good. It's a good thing. I think it's... I think it does cause...
I want to hear about your opinion on the economy, on what impact it's had on the economy, Mike. Don't just say it's good or bad.
It's obviously had...
It's undermining the question.
It's obviously had a great impact on the economy because EA is making tons and tons of money, even though they're assholes. So that's, it must be having a massive economic impact. It's created all kinds of jobs and that in it.
I mean, yeah.
I don't know. I'm just some twat.
I think that's the answer I was trying to push. Yeah, we don't fucking know.
But, kind of culturally as well, he asks about it culturally.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you guys think? There's been a big cultural impact from video games, hasn't there?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it's part of pop culture now as well. It's in there.
It's pushing its way into mainstream. I think that. It's easy for us to say, it's had a huge impact on culture and stuff. I mean, you see these events popping up that you didn't do 20 years ago. You've got all sorts of events, all sorts of shows and all that maybe weren't so prominent, in 20 years ago or whatever. But you see them, they're on YouTube, they get a lot of coverage. There's so much money getting pumped into, you don't have to look at the reveal of Call of Duty World War II, where they hide out some sort of arena in London, didn't they?
Yeah.
And they plastered the side of it with Call of Duty. Call of Duty's everywhere. As much as we dislike the franchise personally, it does great things for gaming. It's part of the mainstream narrative now. Oh, the new Call of Duty game. Everyone knows the new Call of Duty game. Everyone knows the Assassin's Creed game. Excuse me, that is my phone. But it is. I don't think it's entirely mainstream. We only just today released a video about how gaming's been scapegoated in the media again, about the controversy surrounding the Detroit Become Human trailer that was recently to do with like domestic abuse and all that.
Which kind of says there's still a long way to go, clearly, because some corners of society and kind of conservative, like old-fashioned corners of society, maybe in particular, just don't like the idea of something new coming along. What is this? What is this games that kids are playing? Why are they wasting their time? Why aren't they, out in the shed, with tools and stuff, doing a bit of gardening or something? That's the kind of attitudes that still kind of exist. And I think like movies has fully overcome that at this point. Everyone watches movies, right? But they have been around for quite a long time. It's a very old medium. Whereas video games, still, relatively speaking, are still quite young. Even though, you can say they've been around since the 80s, essentially, or, even before that with all the pioneering stuff. But it's essentially still quite a new thing. And despite the fact that we've had some absolute narrative, in my opinion, masterpieces with things like Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice and stuff, that have really done something interesting by being games, not by trying to be movies, or trying to be TV or anything like that, just by being very interesting video games. The more that happens, the better, but we're still not quite there yet, are we? I think, for you as well, Jake, you're a big fan of Nintendo and stuff. I think in terms of cultural kind of, spreading, there's no one more important than Nintendo for,
That's true, yeah. I mean, Pikachu is everywhere. Pikachu
I was thinking
the
Mario,
world.
but Pikachu.
No, I think Pikachu's bigger, honestly.
Pikachu's bigger than Mario?
Pikachu's bigger than Mario.
Whoa.
Hold your horses.
I'd say that. You don't get Mario parades, you don't get Mario's dancing everywhere,
I don't know.
Twitter.
I mean, you get Mario dabbing. We even used it in a thumbnail.
Okay, yeah, Mario dabbing.
To be honest, I didn't know about the Pikachu parades, so
You've not seen it's all over Twitter, man, I mean, they love it. Twitter loves Pikachu.
We have probably quite different Twitter feeds. All right, Pikachu. Well, on that bombshell, Pikachu is bigger than Mario. Thank you very much, Giant Evil Pandas, for an excellent question.
If that wasn't evidence enough that we didn't just bring Jake on here to agree with us, I mean, then there you go.
Yeah. Okay. So next up, Just a Stormtrooper. I present to you the following situation. You have money to make an MMORPG in any way you like, either traditional or innovative. What do you do? Go. And we also had quite a similar question from Monty Man, who asks, or Mounty Man. Just wondering if you could have any game designer or developer make any game at all. What would make it, and what type of game and genre would it be? So let's kind of combine those two. We've kind of got infinite money to make any kind of super MMO game. What kind of game would we make?
Club Penguin. Bring it back.
Wow.
Solid. Let's move on.
I mean, that's confident enough. I mean, I'm not doubting you, dude. I'm sure that'll be a great
It's hard
addition.
to argue.
I'm not going to argue with that. Club Penguin it is.
I would. I don't know what I'd do. I'd probably try and use. The problem I've always had with MMO is like how kind of floaty and shit the combat is, and you know, with stuff with Warcraft and stuff like that, and you know, I'm a strategy gamer. I'm all about like just issuing commands and watching play out. I'm fine with that, but I like the way things are going, and I like what games like Warframe and you know, PlanetSide 2 and whatever, where they have this kind of persistent, massively multiplayer feel and whatnot. But the action is quite actiony. It is quite like, you know, like a AAA game, or at least shooting for it, and Destiny, obviously, I'm a huge fan of that. So I'd probably try and do something that's got extremely tight, extremely like difficult Bloodborne, Dark Souls combat, and that kind of whole combat system, and that kind of progression of weapons and leveling up your weapons and everything, but have that in like in a kind of social space, and it would probably definitely be sci-fi in some way. So sci-fi Bloodborne MMO is what I would do. That's Club Penguin.
There you go. Penguin. I think that's good.
All right, so that's a good question there from both you guys. Thank you very much. Dante Rodriguez. Which of the numerous microtransaction controversies and scandals that we have seen this year are, in your opinion, the worst or scummiest? Gaz, I'm going to throw this one to you.
It's quite obviously that this Battlefront thing with EA, because not one other story or other game has had as much coverage in the mainstream media.
Absolutely not.
This is almost a landmark event in the gaming news, you know, in gaming news, full stop. I think that this is something that we will reflect upon for a lot of time to come, and EA will definitely be reflecting on, judging by the stock prices as they've crashed over the last couple of weeks. A lot of people are considering microtransactions and the implication in AAA games now, and what's the right way to do it. This, you know, it's kicked up with this whole legal thing. Is microtransaction gambling? We've got Hawaii Lee. What was his name? Chris Lee, the Hawaiian state
Hawaii Lee.
Hawaii Lee, the state rep, making that a strong stance as he did on the YouTube video, as well as we've got Belgium looking into regulation, as well as Victoria, a state in Australia who come out as strongly against it.
And then, of course, you know, you had the UK Gambling Commission, who released, kind of out of the blue, another statement. They'd already responded to you know, the petition and everything that we had here in the UK, and they'd already kind of given their response, which is basically, yeah, you know, it's pretty bad, but we're just going to keep an eye on it, see what happens. And then, you know, shortly after that, they release another statement because of the investigation in Belgium and all this, you know, the build-up of controversy kind of across the globe. So they've already kind of changed their position, or at least wanted to clarify or improve their you know, statement a little bit. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, and it's just a huge amount of discussions and like topics that it covers. I mean, we've done so many battles. They just seem like another Battlefront loot box microtransaction video to anyone casually observing what's going on in the channel. But if you kind of look at the topics that we're discussing in the videos themselves, there's so much to it. You know, the legal side of things and the way that people have been reacting, the stock prices. There's so many ramifications to this one decision by EA to include loot boxes in the way that they did. It's, you know, it just can't be ignored, and I think obviously it's like I said, it's going to be years. You're going to be feeling the repercussions of this for years, REA, and we'll just see how it goes from here. That is hands down for me the single most newsworthy or like the one that stands up above everything else.
What about you, Jake? Do you agree, or is there something
definitely,
else?
yeah. Nothing has hit it as hard as Battlefront 2 has.
Yeah.
And it's not going to look good. Not going to look good for Disney either. You know.
That's the problem.
That's
isn't it?
another
dragging.
They've got a new movie coming out like next week. So
they upset Mickey Mouse, and you don't want to do that because he is Mickey Mouse. He has a lot of money. And exactly. The movie's coming out, and this was terrible PR for Disney's product. Who, they care so much about what their products look like and the kind of their IP, and they really have a micromanagement kind of attitude to like all of their stuff. And then EA comes in, and they're just like doing the worst bit of Star Wars PR there's been in a long time. Unless I'm not remembering anything huge that happened, but it feels to me like that's the case anyway.
Yeah. And it was supposed to promote the movie. That was exactly the idea.
Yeah, and it's done the complete opposite. You get what you get from this is like boycott mentality. You get like people, that's it. I'm never touching this kind of product again. That it's easy. You've got to be careful with what you're doing. So that's been an absolute nightmare for Disney. For
the
sure.
other thing to consider as well, if I remember my point. I don't remember.
Let's not forget what I've forgotten.
What I've forgotten. Let's remember.
Okay, well, I'll talk for a little bit so while you try and think. My answer is actually because Star Wars Battlefront 2 has kind of been this huge thing. It feels like a separate thing for me. It's absolutely outrageous, and I think it's definitely the worst thing that's happened. And I've played the game, and it hasn't had such an impact on the game there. But the game is seriously undermined by this system. The whole game doesn't work as multiplayer because of this system, which they've had to put on ice and whatever because of all the controversy. That is definitely still the case. However, my answer is actually Shadow of War, because I was so disappointed that they just put this bullshit loot system in there in order to facilitate the microtransactions and loot boxes later on in the end game, where they kind of become more of a necessity, although not completely necessary if you want to grind through it. But that's when I imagine that's when they will be sold, is during the end game. But they're there through the whole game, this whole loot system, and you end up just picking up swords, and then you haven't got that kind of Zelda Ocarina of Time feeling of like, oh my god, this is a new sword, look how amazing this sword is. It's like, right, that's another sword. And you even get, like, you can unlock abilities so you don't have to pick it up. You just walk over it and it's in your inventory. And it's, it just made all that kind of meaningless. It made the game feel like an absolute padded, I don't know what it was. It was basically the first game, Shadow of Mordor, just inflated, except with nothing filling it up, just more of the same. And it was a huge disappointment. And the last part of that was microtransactions, so that's my answer.
I can't help but feel that they kind of got away easy,
because of Battlefront.
Well, it was only at the beginning of this build of hysteria and hype about the microtransactions. Yeah. They got their game out of the way, and then it was the Battlefront.
Yeah. It was an earlier domino, wasn't it?
And that's the one that took off. You can't help but feel that if Shadow of War got released after Battlefront, there would have been a much more of a backlash towards.
Likewise, Destiny, although Destiny is it's all cosmetics and stuff, and this that kind of XP boost, and I think you get mods in it as well, and then that's kind of that's what Destiny's thing is, but it's in Destiny as well, and again, because Destiny came out earlier, it was like this start of September, so it's had it maybe got more of a pass, but the system isn't nearly as bad as Star Wars Battlefront. The Star Wars Battlefront 2 is just the absolute worst I've ever seen it, because it's so like it is the game. The whole game is unlocking loot boxes. That's all you're doing.
I did remember what I was going to say, which was that they have changed and the way that you accrue points now. It was a minor tweak. They said it's a first step in the way to rehabilitation, or the way that they term it.
Heard it all before from Hello Games and that.
So they've tripled the amount of experience that you can get in the single player arcade mode, or whatever it is now, and they've given you more experience for multiplayer, so you can get more for finishing first, second, third, or whatever. You can't just participate and get the same amount as everyone else now. Right. So they've made minor changes. And the other thing I wanted to point out is that we keep getting asked to talk about the petition that is on change.org about asking Disney to remove the rights to Star Wars from EA. Now, I wouldn't normally bring this up, but it's got over 100,000 signatures now. It's not going to make any blind bit of difference. That's probably why we haven't mentioned it. And but if you look at it in terms of, like, we got a position kind of popularized with the British government, where there's what was it, petition.com or whatever, and we got 15,000 signatures on that, and we got a response from the government. Now this petition, it's got over 100,000 signatures about getting EA to hand back the Disney, which is the rights, like the Star Wars. It's not going to be. They're not going to listen to a petition on change.org. That's for sure. Well, but the sheer amount of people makes it notable, surely.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's just public pressure, isn't it? It's gonna at least cross someone's mind in a boardroom at the very least that there is this petition out there. Also, what I think about this is just, who are they going to give it to? Think of a big publisher with all the studios that Disney needs. Who's the fitting replacement? I mean, you're right. People say, "Oh, imagine a CD Projekt Red Star Wars game." Yes, I could imagine that. That'd be amazing. An Obsidian one, another one. That would be amazing. Yes, please. But they obviously want a deal with one publisher, and then that publisher can just take care of all of it, and then all the dealings are then through the same kind of corporate structure. They always go through the same people to sort things out, and then EA have got this. In what it should be is a match made in heaven. EA have got RPG studios, shooter studios. They've done basically every genre of game there is. They've done it, right? Except they've just massively cocked it up. But who do they give it to? Do they give it to Ubisoft? I mean, is that any better? Activision?
No. It's out of the frying pan, isn't it? You know what
exactly.
I mean?
Maybe it's a case of better the devil you know. But it is hard to imagine how much worse than Star Wars Battlefront 2 it could be. But this is gaming, so fucking who knows? But there you go. I hope that answers your question in some way, Dante. Simply Phil asks, you're given a blank check to buy one item to add to your current/favourite game playing platform. What would you buy? Mine would be a top-of-the-range monitor, because Cropper was always moaning at me for having a naff 60Hz TV. So that's a little Patreon Inner Circle reference there from Simply Phil. So what would you add to your gaming setup if you had, just one thing, if you had an infinite blank check?
Well, I mostly play consoles. I've got a PS4 and a Switch.
Yeah.
So probably a 4K TV, even though I wouldn't benefit from it necessarily. Yeah. Like, I don't have a PS4 Pro.
Bit of future-proofing though, isn't it, I suppose?
It'd be future-proofing, and I feel like games would instantly look better on it anyway.
Yes.
Regardless of them not being 4K.
Upscaling or something, I don't know. But that's and are you saying to add to your current or favourite gaming platform, so it's not like just buy a massive PC, I guess. Gaz, what's your answer?
I would probably go for PSVR, not because I'm entirely excited about the prospect of playing it, just because I'm intrigued about how it pulls games like Skyrim off, and how it deals with that. I mean, I'm not expecting too much from it. I've got a HTC Vive, but and that, resolution's higher on that. The hardware push in that is better than the PS4, but. Yeah, I'm just interested to play Skyrim in VR because I tried it out on EGX and it wasn't great. It wasn't great at all. I think it was a problem with the lighting, the tracking was bad. A lot of reviews on YouTube saying that it's kind of all right. So I'm just interested. I'm enjoying Skyrim on the Switch right now. So I'm just intrigued, I guess. And as a screen, I guess, as well, or an Xbox One X.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one. I think like graphics cards and everything are kind of a regular upgrade for PC gaming, and it's always something you got your eye on after a couple of years, or at least you start thinking, maybe do I need a new graphics card for the next year or so, I suppose. So I maybe would go for a graphics card. I think I've got a 970 at the moment, and it's just starting to wane a little bit when I'm playing Total War Warhammer and kind of quite demanding games like that, and I want to see everything. I want to see all of the blood, please. I don't want to miss out on any blood, right? So I need to get a more powerful graphics card so I can see more blood, right, guys?
That's normal. Naturally,
So yeah, I'd probably 4K TV would be an easy one for me, because I'd absolutely love 4K TV, but I'd have to weigh that up with a graphics card. So I don't know. It's difficult gaming is an expensive hobby, right? There's a lot to think about. So if you've got a blank check for one thing, I'd have to sit on that for a long time and make sure I use it wisely.
A blank check. I mean, I was, just on a side note, I was grossly misrepresented last week when people were saying, well, Jake came out and said that I just want to go about and kill people in Fallout 4. Now,
slander.
Yeah, that was slanderous. But in my defense, I want the choice to be able to do what I want and kill people when I want, like you do in real life.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy going out and doing it necessarily.
There's an important distinction between murdering people and being free to murder people.
That is one thing, but enjoying the sight of blood, like Mike just
come on, I'm just joking. You're having a self-deprecating joke there. You know, I'm not a lunatic.
Whatever you say, Mike.
Robert asks, have you guys ever played a game on the hardest difficulty and found that it wasn't as hard as other people made out to be? I beat Dead Space 1 on Impossible with only the plasma cutter, and it was like playing on normal. Well, all right, Robert.
Sick brag, bro.
Little humble brag question there from Robert. I don't know. I don't really think about difficulty that much unless it's interesting, unless it's like Bloodborne or something where there is a point to the difficulty and not just like how hard is this game. Dead Space, I want that to be hard. I don't know, Jake. What about you? I mean, where do you stand on difficulty?
I don't usually adjust my difficulty on games. I usually leave it on where the developers feel like it should be played at.
Default, right?
Yeah. I don't feel like this game's too easy. I've got to put up to expert difficulty or nightmare difficulty. I feel like playing on normal difficulty is the way the developers wanted it to be played, and chose to have it where it was. So that's how I play most of my games.
Yeah,
you got to strike a balance, though, haven't you? Yeah. I feel like if it's too difficult, it'll frustrate me to the point where I'm not enjoying it. So it does have to be at the right place. Now, a bad example of that is XCOM 2, right? I played that and I got trounced. I mean, you might feel differently, but I felt it was just too hard on normal. I probably should have set it to easier and carried on, but I just gave up. I didn't have the time for it.
Well, that's the same with Bloodborne. I think in XCOM's case, the difficulty is interesting, right? Because it's the point of that is that you're going to lose people and that you can't, and not everyone can make it out alive, and it's like that, so that the game it just have these amazing stories of like retreating to the ship and then one guy not making it, but he holds off the aliens while the rest of the escape. So all that is like, it's just your experience. It's not stories, and the difficulty in XCOM is I think is important. It's there for a reason. But that is not something that you like crank up like, this game is too easy. I'm gonna rack, unless you've just got experience and you enjoy that level of challenge or something. And that XCOM's also got like a mode settings that you can change to actually change the rules of the game. So it becomes harder.
Can you turn off their mind
controlling
mind control, because that was the worst. Literally, as soon as they take control of one of your characters, you can say goodbye to one of the others because they're dead. It's game over.
Well,
it was mission 1. It was taking control of, I can't imagine what it's going to be like in mission 5 or like level 5, 10 hours in.
What's amazing is that the game gets so much worse than that. It gets so much more.
I don't even want to imagine, Mike. I don't know.
It's a cruel game, but that's part of the beauty of it, I suppose.
I used to play a game called Cannon Fodder, right, on the Amiga. And your little snaky people used to follow your arrow around and used to shoot people, and you used to get like you get them. Promotions, right? So each of your characters were personal. So they had names and they got promotions, and when they died, they took a place on the hill. There was a graveyard on the hill, and you could see like a representation of where and you used to feel it when you had one of your biggest your generals died or whatever. And so I'm really attached to these people. When it comes to XCOM, when they're getting killed in the first mission, I'm like I can't even do it.
If you're more attached to Cannon Fodder than XCOM soldiers, honest to God, right? The XCOM is like it's absolute genius of design of making you. The more you play it, and the more that these people survive, people will die off. But then a few of them don't. A few of them make it through, and they're rarely the ones that you expect to do it. And they just kind of make it through, and they get like scars and stuff when they're injured, and you unlock more customization options, so you can like change the way they look and whatever. And then when they do die, there's like memorial sections in the.
Yeah, I mean, I can't do it. Life's hard enough. I don't want to deal with that in games. My other answer to the question though is I always used to play Total War games on very hard. I mean, I normally play them on normal, but a friend of mine used to just play it on like, you need to stick it on very, very hard, like the hardest setting. And it's like, I'll try it, because I was a veteran, about 10 years ago with the original Rome Total War, or whatever. And I was like, oh yeah, this is actually easier than I thought it would be. And so from then on, I always played it on hard.
It actually is more fun of a game, because you kind of take things for granted on when you play it on normal after a certain while. After a certain time, you're just like, oh, well, I'll just steamroll this. I'll just take that. And you start thinking, I'll just have this and this. But then when you're playing it on very hard, you've got to be like, should I move my guys there, or is that is that a bit of a risk?
I think it does enhance the experience in a game like Total Rome, game like Total War. It really does.
Dead Space, I can see it. I didn't actually play that on the hardest difficulty, so I don't know if it is as easy as you think. Maybe you're just sick of gaming, Robert. Maybe you're amazing. Dead Space, I imagine, would need to be quite difficult, because it's supposed to be like an impressive game, isn't it? I guess. All right. So thanks, Robert, for your question. Lewis Welford says, "Is there a game that got cancelled that you were excited for, not including Scalebound?" I don't know why not including Scalebound, but we're not allowed to pick Scalebound. Lewis Welford.
PT. Everyone says PT.
PT, isn't it?
Yes, that's a big one.
Jake, you got any other?
For me, probably Star Wars 1313.
Yeah,
I really looked forward to that. That was very, very exciting.
It did look very nice. Even the Project Ragtag or whatever, the whatever that I've grew into from what was it? Who's doing it? It was bloody the Dead Space people. But then it got canned by EA. So that was a major disappointment. I don't know. I think game cancellations are always like. You kind of think of what might have been, and you see footage later down the line and stuff. Yeah. And there was actually leaked footage of Star Wars Battlefront 3. Oh,
I loved that. That was so we could have had this. It was so close.
That looks better than what we've got now. And that was quite old. And it had this kind of ground combat in this little town thing. But a guy jumped in a spaceship and then flew up to the...
Yeah, they finally nailed the
out of orbit,
ground and space combat.
And then there's a space battle happening up there. I mean... I think he actually lands on the spaceship as well.
Yeah.
I think that's what I want. That is what Star Wars Battlefront should be. And that was, years old footage, and then we've got, loot boxes. So that's a shame. Star Wars Battlefront 3, so is probably my answer. Gaz, you got any particular?
I wasn't particularly upset about Scalebound, because I wasn't a fan of the protagonist and his cocky kind of slide down the dragons.
He was a bit of a turd. He was a bit of a turd.
That's putting it mildly. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't particularly upset about that. I can't think of anything specific. I mean, there was wasn't there like another concept for Prey? Like the
bounty hunter type
the bounty hunter in a cyberpunk kind of setting, and that looked pretty good.
It did.
But that's only posthumously. I wasn't excited for it at the time, so that's only looking back now and saying, oh, they cancelled that game today. That looked pretty good. But no, I can't say as I've got anything that I was excited for and then they cancelled it and I broke my heart.
Oh, Prey looked like it was going to be something really special, and I don't know what happened to it. But people are talking about Prey, this year's Prey, like it's a bit of a dark horse. Like it's actually a lot better than people say it is. I don't know about that. I'd have to really take a second look at it and take
it did go into a lot of people's radars, I think.
Did you play it? Did you enjoy it?
I didn't play it. No, I've seen a lot of good stuff about it though. Like it seems all right. It doesn't seem. I don't know. It deserves more appreciation, I think.
I think it deserves another shot from me. That's for sure. I think I dismissed it too early. I think I just got bored with it. I didn't invest enough time. So maybe at some point I will go back and try it again.
I'm a massive fan of Dishonored, so I should enjoy it, and I'm a massive fan of BioShock as well, so I should enjoy it. But I don't know, it just wasn't doing it for me. And it was like it was the enemies, it was the transformation from a mug to it's a little wig thing. It was the way they transformed pretty much, and the way that they just became, turning from a mug to a little black blobby wig thing just wasn't that scary, even though the game's music was really trying to make me feel scared.
Tried to jump scare every single one of them. Like you'd seen the cup change like numerous times, and then the next time it's like, oh, it's this again, but the music makes out that it's a jump scare.
Yeah. But it's not a jump scare, it's just like, fuck out of my way. That's all it is.
You got to use your fucking wrench because you got no ammo. Just fucking...
Okay, so there we go. Thanks for the question there, Lewis. Mario Alba says, what studios would you like to see come back from the grave, either make a remake or remake their games or launch something new? You know what? I'm going to say something very unpopular.
Lionhead
Studios.
Yeah, I'd say that too. Because I liked one game. It was Movies. It was called Movies, right? And that was my favorite Lionhead game. It's so obscure.
I don't know about this.
It's like a sim game, right? It's like where you build up your own movie studio.
How old is this?
15 years or something.
Oh, right, okay.
But you build up your own movie studio, right? And you pay staff and shit like that. It's like a theme hospital type game, right?
Oh,
and then, and also there's a side of it where you actually make movies too. So you get all these, you buy sets and you make movies, and also you post them online, and then you watch other people who've made movies.
Oh,
it was awesome.
what?
It was absolutely awesome.
How
The
do I not
concept
know
of the
about
game
this?
was brilliant, right?
That's really cool.
And I had so much fun. Creatively, I didn't play the sim side of the game at all. I was just making these movies. You'd put characters in situations. They wouldn't talk or anything. You could just subtitle them. But you could dress them up and whatever, and you can. You're searching for it now?
No.
Oh. You should be. It was good, but they cancelled it. And Lionhead. That's why I'd say Lionhead. Apart from what your answer would be, which is going to be Fable.
Yeah. So it would 100% be Lionhead, and complete with Peter Molyneux. Just bring him back. That's the truth. That's my cards on the table. I want Fable.
That is an unpopular opinion.
Even after Curious Box, the next revolutionary game,
Yeah, even after all that, even after all the broken promises, I would want Fable. I would not. Well, actually, Peter Molyneux, being the reformed gentleman that he is, not talking about his games before they come out anymore, I don't think they would be doing any marketing for it or anything in this hypothetical universe that I've just created. He wouldn't be advertising it, because that's not who he is anymore, apparently. And then the game would just come out, and it maybe would be good, but it would be Fable, and it would have all the amazing accents, it would have all the little jokes, and it would have that lovely kind of that music. Just, oh my god, the music. Danny Elfman, is it? I think, but it's just it's incredible soundtrack to Fable. So Fable, all visceral games, and make me a Dead Space 4. That's what I'd want. What about you, Jake?
I think one developer that people seem to forget died. Pandemic.
Yeah.
They worked on Star Wars Battlefront 2, and notably the Destroy All Humans franchise.
Yeah.
One of my favourites.
They made quite a few games.
I love Destroy All Humans. You're just an alien just going around killing humans.
Just ruining people's days.
You would genuinely ruin people's lives. There was just a farmer, you'd just be happy tending to his cows, you'd probe his cows and kill him.
Yeah.
So...
Nice.
But honestly, that's what the game is. Yeah.
Right.
I'd love a new one. I'd love them to come back and make a new Destroy All Humans.
Good answer there, Jake.
I've actually got another answer, right? Earth and Beyond. Earth and Beyond was an MMO from fucking ages ago. Westwood Studios apparently made it.
Westwood, yeah.
Published by EA Games, and they're not around anymore, I don't think.
No.
Earth and Beyond was my favourite. And Star Wars Galaxies, I don't know who made that, but I'd loved Star Wars Galaxies to come back. And Earth and Beyond. A lot of nice memories there.
Great question, that, though. If you guys have got any better answers than Lionhead Studios, let us know down in the comments. Braden Lance, sorry for getting your name wrong last week, Braden, but I think I've got it right this time. Braden Lance, do any of you own a ridiculous amount of merch from a single game franchise?
Oh no.
I personally own over $1,000 worth of Witcher merchandise set up in the corner of my game room.
Judging by Jake's response, we want to jump straight to Jake.
Jake,
and,
merch.
I mean, I don't know if you can call it merch, because it's technically part of the game, but I'm sure you'll know about the Toys to Life genre.
Oh,
right,
no.
You know?
What have we got?
Tell us.
I own far too many Skylanders.
Skylanders,
wow.
Right? I was thought you were going to go Amiibos.
I mean, Amiibos as well. I do have a lot of Amiibos.
Oh yeah, I got Amiibos.
Yeah.
I got loads of Amiibos, but mainly Skylanders.
I have a whole shelf just full of them.
Right.
But yeah, Skylanders is the big one.
Jesus.
Yeah. I have so many. There's too many of them.
Wow.
Because I played it back. I've got it first week. 2011, the first one came out, and obviously I would have been 12, 13. So, I saw Spyro was in this game. I was like, oh my gosh, I love Spyro. I'm going to play this game. And then it hooked me from that moment on. I was playing all of them. Every single one I played.
Flip
and bought
me.
all the figures for and everything.
Do you have $1,000 worth of like this fella?
A couple of £100 worth.
Couple of £100,
At
all
least, maybe 1,000.
I think that's the kind of thing it is, though, isn't it? Once you buy one, you just will be. You don't buy what you don't go in just to buy one, do you? You'll go in to buy a lot.
You've got to buy all of them. You've got to be able to play as all the characters,
So
unlock all the areas.
Yeah, you either have loads or you're doing it wrong. All right, I don't actually have any merch that I can think of. Or there's definitely not collections of merch anyway. I've probably got some anomalies that I've got free with
No
games.
stormtrooper outfits or anything.
No.
I'm surprised.
I've got maybe a few Christmas presents here and there, probably, but yeah, no, I'm not a merch man really. Oh, I've got a very nice bit of Lego. I've got Lord of the Rings, Gandalf riding into the Shire with that's lovely. That's a lovely little piece. That's all I've got though. What about you guys?
I've got a bag end. The whole
oh yeah, it's
from
off
the
that.
Hobbit.
It's off that. Yeah, it's it's
I've
on the
got a
box.
whole
nice.
Bilbo's place. Bilbo and Gandalf and all the dwarves that show up at his house for some reason.
Yeah, very very nice. Okay, Gaz, I don't imagine you've got.
I'm not a hoarder in any way. I think the extent of my collection, even of games, might be an old scuffed box of Fallout New Vegas from back. That's literally it.
Oh man, I've got tons.
Everything else gets thrown away or something. I don't even collect old games.
Right, I'm good at keeping stuff. I do have a lot of games. I just never actually went for merch. But I've got like stacks of like PC games and stuff. But the thing with PC games is you can't do anything with them.
That's the problem now. Yeah, they're worthless now.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for the question, Braden. Ben Smith. I know you guys are dead against microtransactions, but have you ever bought one or been tempted?
Yes, I think most of us can admit to that at least.
Sorry, Jake, I'm not with you there.
Really?
I've not ever bought a single microtransaction.
You haven't bought a single one ever?
No.
Why did you?
I've bought Overwatch loot boxes once. Yeah,
have you?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I recently got the game at that point.
Right.
And there was an event on, and I thought, why not? I've got some cash to spare. I'll throw some. I don't mind.
Loot box purchases anonymous. I think
know,
a meeting in the community centre next Wednesday.
I'm going to receive a lot of hate for that, but yeah, I did buy some. Only like 20 loot boxes, which are like 15 quid.
Right. 15 quid.
15 quid. Yeah.
Right.
That's a small. When you consider you can spend up to like 100 quid, that's a small purchase.
I think when you ask this question. I think probably the most common answer will be like FIFA Ultimate Team cards. I imagine a lot of kids have just bought.
I know a lot of my people from school I used to go to school with. They spent a lot of money. Buying packs, all the packs for Ultimate Team to get their best players, their favourite ones, and I
think that's probably the most common answer. But I've never even been tempted. They just bore the fuck out of me. Just get out of my game. It's just opening a loot box is the most boring. One of the most boring things I've ever done in a video game.
It is pretty boring.
That's part of the problem with Battlefront. The fact that you have to do this to it's not the fact that the loot box is even there. It's because I have to watch it. I've got to watch the cards flipping over, and I've got to click on the cards, and I don't care. Just fuck off. That's what microtransactions are to me. So no, I've never bought one. Guys?
I've remained very tight-lipped up until this point. But yeah, I'm not ashamed to say that I have, but because the microtransaction specifically, no loot boxes involved here, was on a mobile game. It was I can't remember where it was. It was a long time ago. It was a long time ago. I'm a reformed guy. But it's a free-to-play game, right? And that's how you show your appreciation for developers. That's how that's their business model. That's how they. And I remember feeling at the time that I've had so much fun playing this. I feel like I want to support the development of this game because you support the development of the game. Developers bringing this game and bringing you this enjoyment. That it feels like a reciprocal. Sort of arrangement. And I'm free to donate, I see it as a donation if you like, to contribute as much or as little as I want. So there's no pressure on me to do it. So that's the only time that I've ever spent on a microtransaction. I've never spent one on a full-priced game because I'm fiercely opposed to extra fees in a game where you've already paid for it. And loot boxes, no, just no.
I think that when you're wanting to support a studio is interesting. I think that's what a lot of people say about Warframe, innit? Is that's how they've got it right.
Totally get on board with that.
Because you don't feel like you need to at all in that game. But people do it because they love the game so much and they want to whatever to keep playing and stuff. So they go for the microtransactions. I can get wanting to support argument. I get it because free to play. If it is free to play, especially obviously that's a conscious decision they've made to not charge you to play this game, so that they, in the hopes that some players will buy microtransactions. It's when they're in like full price games, and then when they are then giving you loot boxes rather than the actual thing that you want to buy. That's the layers of turdiness that are coming through.
There is an argument to say that some people say that microtransactions just shouldn't be in any games ever, because as soon as you allow them in one game, they'll just apply them to all games all the time. And as a general rule, then I kind of agree with that. But there's just so many nuances to microtransactions. There's so many ways to implement microtransactions into your game. There's acceptable ways, in my opinion. Other people might disagree. And then there's totally unacceptable ways where you just shouldn't even look at it. So it's very nuanced. As a general rule, microtransactions shouldn't exist, but they do serve a purpose for those game developers, and they provide a method of supporting games developers who produce free games and also don't put loot boxes in and don't monetize them in an aggressive way. Like there's a furore recently about Paladins. It's a free-to-play game, right? And people messaging us on Twitter saying, you should cover this. You should let people know that they're implementing loot boxes and the grind the way that EA and Battlefront have done. And I'm like, hang on a minute. This is a free-to-play game, and you haven't paid for this, the privilege of playing this game. Okay, they might not have implemented it in an ideal way, and they'll probably see the repercussions of that. And through their business might fail because of it. If people don't like the way that you've implemented your microtransactions, they just won't buy them. So they'll feel the repercussions of that later down the line. But to say that we should oppose them and their business model when this game is free to play to begin with, I don't agree with that. I think it's up to them. If they want to release a free to play game, they can do whatever they want with it. I will just say no thanks. If I deem it to be such a bad implementation, if you like, of microtransactions, there's so many grey areas, is what I'm trying to say. It's not easy to say microtransactions are good or bad in any quick way without analysing and critically assessing how they've been implemented and whether you agree with implementation or not. Sorry, that was a bit of a speech there, but I think I got my point across.
There you go, Ben. That's the answer, comprehensive answer to your question. So we've been talking a lot now, so let's have a break for Fact of the Week. So if we can have the jingle, please. Okay, Fact of the Week. In the 2001 Game Boy Color game, Muteki O Trizenon, I think, there is an unused list of all the playable skaters in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 inside the game's code.
What?
You're not supposed to react to it. So let's do the 30-second throwdown. Gareth, 30-second throwdown?
No, I think we passed this on to Jake,
we passed it on to Jake, yes. So Jake, there you go.
Yeah, 30-second throwdown. And it's titled...
Something About Pokemon.
Pokemon Outrage.
That's the actual title. So Jake, when you're ready, please.
Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon are not good games. I don't think they're good. I think they pander towards the child demographic too much. When Pokemon Company know that adults play Pokemon games. I played 15 hours of it over the weekend, and it was like doing a chore. It was like doing house chores. It was awful. They were full of cutscenes that you just don't need, full of useless dialogue, and I didn't have fun and traded it in.
Okay, that was pretty tight. Yeah,
but
it was about 30 seconds.
You like Pokemon?
I love Pokemon. Right?
So this is why
Pokemon.
You're upset.
Yeah, that's why I'm upset.
Just
yeah.
a bit of
coming from a place of love.
Exactly. Yeah. You're supposed to like Pokemon. You like Pokemon, and this game you just don't like because of the
at all. It was just felt like a real chore to play. I played 15 hours. I feel like after 15 hours, I'd be like, okay, if I don't like this game by now, I'm done with it.
You give it a good run.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't give most TV shows 2 hours, so that's good. All right, so that's a good 30-second throwdown there, Jake. It's a
nice,
very good job.
Cheers.
Kyle West, with some more questions. Kyle West says, which RPGs lend themselves to being able to make a morally grey character? So this is something we were talking about last week. So there's a lot of RPGs that give you a choice, but it's sometimes quite binary. You know, in Mass Effect, it's quite clear. Are you a red guy or a blue guy? It's like you choose which one you want, basically, and you choose if you want a blue answer or a red answer, which isn't an amazing way of doing it. It's quite hard to get kind of moral grey areas. I don't know how much RPGs you guys actually play, both of you.
I enjoy RPGs, yeah.
Yeah, you're a big RPG fan, Cass. I mean...
it has to be done right. And I have to feel like my time is being spent.
Well, you're hammering Skyrim.
I love Skyrim, man. The way that... I've said it before. I've said it in videos that are yet to be released. So I'll say it again now. I think the progression system in Skyrim is one of the best I've ever played. I'm really finding it rewarding, the way that you unlock... skills and that are that to do with what you're actually using, and there's spells. If you're using spells, you unlock spells. It's so natural and intuitive.
Yeah.
I really find it rewarding. There's a great feedback loop. I do think something for a certain amount of time, I get rewarded for that, so that I can do that thing again better in future. It's just so great. I do like RPGs. Anyway, I went a bit tangent.
Do you feel like you can play Skyrim? It hasn't really got a kind of morality system or anything like that, has it? But you can role play in that game big style.
You can decide whether to kill people or not.
Well, you can steal from them. You can give a one hand and take with the other. You can go and hand in a quest, and then on the way out just rob all of their gold on the way out. It gives you so there isn't necessarily like a bar or a chart or anything that tells you how good or evil you're being in that game. But it's quite flexible in terms of just being who you want to be, Skyrim, I guess.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
But it's not a game that tries to...
it's not a New Vegas where
exactly,
you can be evil. Or Fallout 3 as well, where you can just blow up Megaton.
Well,
it's so good.
Fallout 3, if I remember rightly, does have that binary are you good or bad thing, whereas Fallout New Vegas was like, who are you aligning with? Are you with this gang? Are you with this town? Are you with this mental cult? Like, which group of people are you friends with? Because it had like a reputation system or something, right?
That's right.
I also like, so Mass Effect was one game I mentioned there about it having this binary choice, but Dragon Age, another BioWare series obviously, had that similar kind of New Vegas system where it didn't have a good or bad graph, but depending on which characters you had with you at the time, they would say either like, oh great, I'm glad that you've done that, or what the fuck are you doing, you asshole. They would react to what you're doing, and then they had bars of like how much they liked you, which was one of my favourite systems actually of how to measure how good you are of how kind of moral, where you are on the moral kind of graph as a character.
I mean, I think it's better to implement a morality system like that where there's no absolute morality right or wrong, because you're imposing a morale system on the game. Whereas if you're choosing morality with regard to specific factions or people, then you can be an arsehole to one person. It doesn't make you an arsehole. It just makes you bad towards this group. It might not agree with them or whatever. And it's a much better way to implement.
Well, it's much more closely to real life, I guess, isn't it? Yeah. But you can.
I mean, unless you are a moralist, what do you call it? A religious kind of guy,
right?
Because there's absolutes right and wrong in religion.
I suppose,
I mean, if you exclude, let's not exclude religion.
Because I guess you've got a guide of what you should be doing.
Exactly. I mean, you talk about religion. There is absolute rights and wrongs there.
Saw this coming,
I mean, it's getting deep now,
but with Dragon Age though, it's like what I love about it is that who do you like in your party? Like, which of these characters do you like are you warm to the most, and then you want to be friends with them, or you want your character to be getting on with them, you want them to be with you a lot of the time, because so you end up kind of maybe like aligning your your position on things based on who's with you, which is a lot more interesting as like a thought process, compared to am I good or am I bad. I don't know. What about you, Jake? Any games that you thought you had a lot of freedom to play like a morally grey character?
I've been playing Watch Dogs 2 recently, not an RPG, but I felt like the morality of it was strange, as in I was just a hacker. That's all I was a hacker. I could go around shooting pedestrians if I wanted to.
Yeah, there was completely... This is a problem in video games where like the guy is... It's in Tomb Raider as well, where she's like, oh my God, I've never fired a gun before. She kills one guy, then she's murdering everyone. And it's in like, but in Far Cry 3, they kind of tie that into the story where he's nervous and he does start killing people, and he's like, this is fucking good. And he starts, and he goes on a path of learning to use weapons and really enjoying it in a weird way, and you go on this kind of path, and so that's clever. But in Watch Dogs, you were meant to be like this kind of social justice, like I'm doing everything right.
Taking down the big companies.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm just going to murder some people on the way. Like, it is a bit weird.
I just find it very strange. Like, give me some repercussions for that. Like, the police system doesn't even work all that well, you know?
Yeah.
Because you can just run away from them.
Yeah, it's a good call, that. There is... Is it dissonance?
Exactly, yeah. So it's actually a problem in some games, but it's an interesting question, Erica. I think the more games the more freedom you get from games, the better, isn't it? And to play a morally grey character is interesting, I suppose. So
a lot better.
There you go. Nick Phillips, I have so many games that I've purchased but not played because when I start to play something, I like to complete it entirely. Most of the gamers I know are the complete opposite. What about you guys? What did you do? Did you play all the way through first before you move on to something else? Or?
Most games play all the way through, depending on how long they are. Like, if it's a 100-hour game, obviously, no.
Yeah.
But like...
you completionist, though? Will you do like the trophies and achievements and stuff? Or will you...
But if games ask for it and they're like, hey, try collect these things, I'll probably try to.
Yeah.
But like, I won't go out of my way while playing the main game. I'll be the one to go back and play through it again.
Yeah. I mean...
See what collectibles there are.
And will you ever have more than one on the go at the same time?
Yeah. I usually have about 2 or 3 games on the go at the same time.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay. Well, I usually have one, but also like just a shooter or something. Just something else that is not necessarily like a story that I'm going to progress through. Just something to jump and shoot some stuff in the face all the time. That's how I usually manage it. But yeah, I'm a one game at a time kind of guy, and I will play it right through to the end. But as soon as I've seen the credits, I'm out. That's me done. I don't need to get the trophies or anything. I don't go for the collectibles or whatever. I'm just playing for the experience. And once I feel like I have had the experience, then
what about post-game stuff? There's a lot of post-game stuff these days.
Yeah, you miss out a lot there.
I mean it doesn't bother me. There's so many games that I need to play that it's just an easy way for me to manage my time more than anything. But I'm replaying Bloodborne at the moment, and I have there's no reason to do that. I'm not chasing any other trophies or anything. I just did it because I want to do it. And that was maybe, that was a couple of years after I originally played Bloodborne. So that's, I will revisit stuff, but again, Bloodborne is my game at the moment, and I'm also playing a bit of Destiny. So I won't go, I won't pick up anything else until I finish Bloodborne. What about you guys?
I don't complete every game that I start playing and even enjoy. I think it depends on the game. If it's a narrative, story-driven game, I tend to want to finish it because I'm a sucker for stories, right? If I want to see what happens at the end of the story, I want to see what happens to the protagonist. But if it's like a sandbox type of game, I might just pick it up and and play it for 10, 15 hours. But then as soon as I try something else, I kind of forget, and my attention span's kind of short, I guess. Like a game I picked up recently was Space Pirates and Zombies 2, abbreviated to Spaz 2, obviously. So that was a sandbox game, right? And I really enjoyed that game. I played it for 10, 15 hours. Yeah. But then I picked up another game that was a game like Orwell. I think this was on a Humble Monthly, right? And that was a great game. It was a story-driven narrative game. Yeah. And I played that for 2 hours. Like, I've got to finish this. I knew it was going to be a short experience. So I knew it was only going to be a few more hours. But I had to get to the end of that before playing anything else. And that's kind of where I sit. I think now I've been playing Skyrim exclusively for 2.5 weeks, and I'm like 50 plus hours in. But I have not touched another game since picking that up.
It's an interesting thing about the Switch, isn't it? Because it changes the way you play. One of the big, just because you can take it with you, completely changes everything. That is, it's like there's so many more opportunities to actually just play the game. Whereas, at the moment, you've got to either, in my case, go upstairs and fire up the PC and sit in front of the PC, or try and get the telly in the living room free. Do you know what I mean? But whereas a Switch, it doesn't matter. I can just put it in my bag and then take it. If I'd put it in my bag and take it and play it wherever you want, on the bus or whatever. Changes the whole dynamic of what it is to play games. That is part of the genius of what that product actually is. And I honestly really think that is kind of the future in a lot of ways, because the other companies have got to be looking at that now, like, holy shit, this is working amazingly well. We've got to consider this a possibility in the future, I think.
But they're all chasing 4K. They're all trying to chase that,
exactly.
graphical dream.
Yeah. But it's all going to come down to Xbox One X and PS4 Pro sales and performance. If that doesn't really pan out, and meanwhile the Switch is they'll go where the money is, won't they? And then and they'll just follow it blindly. Even if it's like Switch has cornered this market, people will still chase it. People will be like, I want some of that. They'll go after it.
I see why Sony don't want to try and innovate like this, because they're market leaders at the moment when it comes to the console. And
the market leaders at bog standard console. Aren't they?
And I don't feel they need to branch out and innovate in that sort of way and compete with the likes of Nintendo in that sphere, because they are such a great place versus Xbox, Microsoft at the moment. So Sony is just doing everything right. It makes sense for them not to need.
Also, they tried with the Vita and the PSP to just do portable, and that wasn't good.
Yeah, that's true. Although this is different because
this is hybrid.
This is a hybrid, and this is almost specs that are good enough to play like proper versions of AAA games, whereas Vita wasn't, was it?
No. It was what I think here with this Switch is that it is game changer stuff. Because, like, anecdotally, of the amount of people on Twitter I've seen saying, like, I think it was like Rab Florence or whatever, just yesterday, tweeted like, "Oh, I've not put my Xbox on in 11 months, and I've just for the first time in years, literally, not renewed my PlayStation Plus subscription. Meanwhile, I've been playing this non-stop." And he's just a kind of games journalist kind of guy. But it's that kind of thing that you see a lot now. That it's like, this is interesting. I feel like something's happening.
It's changed a lot of things because it's an innovation, right, that nobody saw coming. It's a bit like Steve Jobs on the iPad, right, and their tablet. Nobody saw that coming. Everyone was like, "Nah, tablet, it'll never work." You're
mental.
And look at it now. I mean, like mobile phones as well. That's another kind of example of like a lot of people jumped on that trend. You got loads of manufacturers making these types of technology, these types of tablets and phones now, whereas I don't see that happening in the game industry because there's not enough companies willing to innovate and try and compete. Because you don't buy a yearly game system like you do with phones. I mean, it's kind of going that way, but I don't know. It's kind of makes me sad that there isn't more innovation in the games industry because this was just a one-off, was it? You know what I mean? They tried different things of Nintendo, and like the Wii didn't kind of pay off for them. And how many times have they innovated in the last 15 years? Like, I mean, the Wii U was a total flop. But they tried again and they came good. If there was more companies doing what Nintendo do, who knows what type of gaming, VR's innovation, I guess, in a way. But people trend that people are
pushing forward, that, isn't it?
But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see whether people do try and jump on the success of the Switch, because that would be interesting to see what sort of competition and what sort of products come out of this competition in the gaming area.
So there you go, Nick. That's the answer to your question. Do we play one game at a time?
That's why these questions are beautiful, though, because we haven't got a strict. Haven't got 10 minutes to talk about something specific. We haven't got a rush on. They're just like thought experiments. We just go where we end up, basically.
So there we go. We got one from McQuadis now, which is quite a lengthy one, but McQuadis asks basically, is Horizon Zero Dawn any good? Is it worth it? I think really, you've mentioned in your question here that you it's kind of an open world game, and whether or not you're interested in that. I think Horizon Zero Dawn is quite an accessible game, and I think it's quite hard to. I think you could be maybe underwhelmed by it a little bit because of how people like me talk about it. But it's very difficult to disagree with it. I think it's a very palatable game at the very least. Even people who really criticise it would have to acknowledge that, I think. And if you wait to get it in a sale, if you're remotely interested in it, then it's going to be a strong recommendation from me. But what about you guys?
Have you played it?
I have not played it yet, no.
I would say the same as Mike. I think if you're going to the extent of analysing whether you would like it or not, to the point where you're not quite sure, you should probably just pick it up because it's one of those games where it does so many things so well. All right, it might lend a lot from other games, and it might look similar to other games in various places. But the feeling of actually playing as Aloy and the gameplay itself, you can't get that across. You can't communicate that. You can't show that. And what it feels like to be Aloy and to do what she does, to take down these dinosaurs, you can't communicate that. That is so much fun in itself that I would say if you're even considering it, you should probably just do it.
The problem he has is that he doesn't like games with too much content. I think if they're a bit too big of an open world and too much stuff going on. He does like Arkham City and Spider-Man 2. I would say that Horizon Zero Dawn, although it is massive, in terms of like gameplay, the time you'll spend in it, and the general kind of scale of the types of things you'll be doing, it's quite similar to something like Arkham City, I would say. And the gameplay in particular is that kind of that variety of doing different stuff, and Arkham City, it's nothing like, it's not Arkham Combat at all, but it's just in terms of just kind of roaming around, doing other things, and then fighting in that game felt like an activity, like, right, I'm going to go jump into those middle of those guys and beat them up. It's kind of the same mindset in Horizon, like, right, there's a dinosaur over there, I'm going to go take it down. It's not like you're constantly being accosted by enemies and whatever, and it's not this ridiculous Witcher 3-esque kind of open world with although it is very similar to Witcher 3 in some ways, but the Witcher 3 just felt like a long saga to get through. Horizon Zero Dawn doesn't feel like that.
No, it's not like a JRPG or something where you're just randomly running and you've got like a chance encounter,
it's
like a big
like
flash, and you're set with. It's not like that. You can just like run past enemies and get to your objective. Just follow the story, and I think that's one of the things that carries you through it. If you want just the story, you can just stick to the story and just about get through it without all the side faff. I mean, there's a lot of parts of the map that maybe I completed the game, but I haven't explored the whole map.
Right.
Didn't feel the need to. Or
just take the towers for instance. There's like 5 towers in the whole game, so it's not like your Assassin's Creed icon fest. Although there are a lot of icons. If you don't want any icons, play Zelda Breath of the Wild. Stephen Hughes asks, I was curious about the shirts you guys wear on the show. Do you all go out as a team and go shirt shopping? Cue montage. Or do you just show up at work like, hey gang, check out my new shirt? Please answer, as I must know.
It's definitely the latter.
Yeah, I mean, it's... Yeah, we don't go shopping.
We don't go shopping together, like swinging the bags down there.
It's just that it's basically like... we don't. I don't think anyone has ever gone, "Hey gang, check out my shirt," or even any words to that effect. You just buy some t-shirts, don't you, and then you wear them. A lot of mine are from like Redbubble. Bought a couple from Insert Coin Tees. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, the best ones are on Redbubble, hands down.
Very good, Redbubble.
Redbubble is the best, and we will have an affiliate link down in the description of this video. I've sorted it out, but we just haven't gotten around to it. So if you want to support the channel and you want to get some Redbubble gear, this is from Redbubble. This is
from Burton.
Because what the good thing about Redbubble, right, is that if you're a designer, you can put your designs on the store, and so it's made by creators, right? All the designs are made by creators, and a lot of the money goes back to the creators. So you search for Fallout New Vegas shirts, you'll get a whole host of different New Vegas, because there's so much. What's the word? It's so specialist that you can just find something that appeals to you.
Yeah.
Search for your favorite. My It movie shirt with the Love a Loser t-shirt. That was from Redbubble as well. It was just something I was like, oh, that would be good on a shirt. I searched for it, and lo and behold, it was on Redbubble. So, like I said, if you want to support the channel, affiliate link down in the description of this video.
There you go. Gotham Pop says, ever suggested a game you love to a mate, hyped it up, maybe even let them borrow it, and then they turned around and hated it? No, I actually don't do that very often. I just tell people that I'm having a great time with games. I don't tend to go, you need to play it. Jake in the office does like to recommend stuff, and he recommended Ghost Recon Wildlands quite strongly.
How long did you play it for?
Just leave that there.
How long did you get out of that game?
Not long.
He did also recommend What Remains of Edith Finch, which I
I'm
loved.
only joking. Jake
Gets some good recommendations.
Yeah, he's got excellent taste, generally speaking. Just Ghost Recon
on
Wildlands.
that specific occasion.
Yeah, but Divinity Original Sin, I was pretty excited for it. I suppose I wasn't probably planning on day one or anything like that. I'd played the original one. Jake's like so excited about Divinity Original Sin 2 coming out, hyping it up all year, talking about it for months. I ended up playing it. Absolutely game of the year material game. So sometimes recommendations do go well. Most of the time, actually, they do most of the time. I don't know if I've ever actually Liam as well. Liam was like talking about Nier Automata, and this is Liam did let me borrow Nier Automata, actually, and I played that and bloody loved it, but it took me a while to get into it. But I really liked it, and that was one that Liam was kind of quietly recommended and kind of let me borrow it, and it was great. I don't think I've actually done that, though. I don't know actually if I've ever done this to anyone that I can remember. Anyway,
I think you've got to be very aware of your audience, right? So if someone likes this very specific niche type of game or genre or something, then you got to recommend some games in that genre. You can't just say, "Oh, I loved Horizon Zero Dawn. Everyone's going to love it. Here, I borrow it." I don't think that works.
Yeah.
You've got to analyze it and be a little bit more careful about who you recommend the games to.
I think Total War Warhammer, actually, Jake was kind of making some noises about this because it's a fantasy game, and there was like a kind of there's a rat civilization race in that, and he's interested in that. And then maybe I'll take credit for that. I recommended Total War Warhammer to Jake, and then he bought it and loved it and played it. So that's mine. Jake?
I'm more the person that gets recommended. I don't recommend games often.
Yeah.
So I'll say I like a game. I won't say, "Oh, you have to play it. You'd be perfect for it." Because I don't know what games people like. But I'll be recommending games. I'll be the person to say that was awful. What did you recommend that to me for?
Yeah.
I'm a friend. He lended me the BioShock collection. I played Infinite first. He said play Infinite first. So I said okay. I loved Infinite. That was really, really good. Don't know why. Just was a good game. So they said okay, go play the first two now. So I started playing the first one and just didn't like it.
Oh, that's where you went wrong.
I don't know what it was.
Should have gone first one first,
never
didn't it?
Start with a third in a trilogy.
It was his recommendation, so I followed his rules.
That was a bad recommendation.
Let me tell you exactly what it is. BioShock Infinite is very bright and sweeping and quite breathtaking.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Whereas BioShock 1 maybe has one scene like that when you're getting into the city.
It's very dark,
dull. Exactly. So that's the problem. You should always start with the first one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Although, unless you're watching Star Wars for some reason, start with the fourth. Honestly, that's what the thing is. Rudy Manchego. Chaps, I loved your Bloodborne video this week. More of a niche video, but it was really great. I only played the game this past summer. I was hooked, and it pretty much took over my life. Here's my question. If those on the panel have played it, what was your standout moment from the game? Mine was getting to Ebrietas, a.k.a. the big tentacle vagina monster, by accident, and then having this immense fight with the swirling orchestral music. I died lots.
Vagina tentacle monster?
Well, you could probably describe most enemies in the game like that, to be honest. But it's... That's actually cool.
Well, piqued my interest.
Well, this is, they're just blobs of what the hell's going on eventually. But I think that's a great anecdote actually, because Ebrietas is kind of an Easter egg monster beast or whatever, because she's a boss, but she's hidden behind a broke window that you have to break. That's the only breakable window in the game, and it doesn't tell you that unless you've been reading guides or just do it by accident, I guess, or think, is that window breakable? You're never going to find it. So that's quite cool. And I like that you took her on and died loads. What was the question? What was your standout moment from the game? Oh my god. Bloodborne. The whole fucking game's a standout moment of my life. It's absolutely amazing. I don't know.
Come on, Mike. Stop gushing. Be specific.
You play it. You know what I'm talking about.
I can't. I mean, I'm just still thinking about vagina tentacle monsters.
Okay.
I haven't played Bloodborne. No, I'm playing Souls games really.
Okay. It's honestly, there's probably about 20 to 30 standout moments from the game. So I couldn't possibly.
But if you were trying to sell somebody, like to say this bit's awesome in this game,
go watch this on YouTube. Which bit would you choose? And
don't watch any of it on YouTube. Play the whole thing first, and then do whatever you want.
You're not selling me, Mike. You're not selling me.
I can't. I just can't. Anything I say just won't do it justice. Is basically my answer. Although I do like your answer quite a bit, Rudy. That's cool. That's a cool Easter egg monster there. Michael Compton asks, can you guys, with a final question actually of the podcast, can you guys give us some info on your journey? What other jobs have you held, and how did you find your way to the video game industry? God.
Oh, this is going to take ages.
Closing out.
What are your lives outside of
I probably should have put that earlier. Well, cheers for the question.
What other jobs have you held, Mike?
Some info on your journey. I mean, that's obviously all being held back from my autobiography. Your journey. I've basically held a lot of jobs, but since I left university, I worked as a newspaper journalist, and then kind of 3.5 to 4 years into that, there was a job going with Gareth, which I applied for as an editor for the guitar channel, I guess, and the gaming stuff a little bit, and then it just kind of grew from there. When I started here, we started talking about games a lot and whatnot, and it grew from there. So that's my take on the story.
You took a leap though, because you had a full-time job in journalism, right? You were a senior reporter at the North Wales Chronicle, right?
Yeah.
And you took the leap from that position, which was pretty cushy, right? I mean, some might argue compared to what you jumped into. So taking a job with me in YouTube, an editor as YouTube, a video editor on YouTube.
It was because you had the gaming channel and whatnot, and I had a lot of ideas for doing gaming and stuff, and not ideas. I wanted to do it. Basically, was my idea.
That was part of the draw, was it?
And I think I made a video about Bloodborne.
Yeah,
to get the
That's
job.
What got you the job,
because I had no editing experience really. Well, I had a newspaper training about editing that I'd done. Then I think I emailed my application and I was like, "Do you want me to edit a video?" Because I was like, "Yeah,
that'd be nice. That'd be nice."
So then I just did some shit about Bloodborne, about why it kicks your ass all the time. Which the world will never see.
That's a nice bit of law, PGG law, is that what got you the job was a Bloodborne video.
Yeah,
that's nice. There's a nice tie-in.
So there you go. That's my journey.
Personally, I got a full-time job at the age of 21. I failed at education. Right, I failed my A-levels twice. I tried to do it, failed. I got a full-time job at 21 in a factory. Right, worked my way up. Got an NVQ or NVQ. That's what we're calling it in printing. So I'm a time served or an NVQ, a qualified printer by trade, a machine printer. I worked in the industry for 10 years until 2015, where I quit to do YouTube full time, which was the music channel, which I'd been working on for 6 years previously. So it was a hobby. YouTube was a hobby for me, generating guitar videos and guitar lessons up until 2015. I took the jump, decided to do it full time, and then it turned into it's a longer story than that, but it turned into what it is today. But yeah, I'm a printer. I still think about printing. Printing is so therapeutic. You know, you are a machine, right? You set it up, you press buttons, and it does exactly what it should do. And if there's a problem, you got to fix it. And there's that problem solving side of things, which is quite therapeutic and quite good. It's just a machine. It applies to the laws of physics apply to it, and it really appealed to me that. And I was actually quite good at it too.
Would you play a printing simulation game?
Oh hell no. No, it was the shit to do with everything around it. It was like the schedules, having to deal with people, having to God, it's horrible.
Management or whatever.
Yeah, being part of an industry and shit. Yeah, just give me a machine and let me just work on a machine. I have to deal with people. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not a people person. It's just so simple. You don't have to argue with anyone. It listens to what you press a button and it goes. It's easy.
What's your journey, Jake?
Well, I mean, it's no secret that I'm the youngest person here in the office.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
I would never guess that.
So, I've never held a full-time job before.
Right, but you are still in education, right? You're still in.
Yes.
You're actually still in college.
Yeah. So
and you're interning with us here, technically.
Yes. Yeah.
So this is kind of your first. You've had jobs though, right?
I mean, I've delivered newspapers.
I mean, haven't you all?
So
how
Mike wrote them.
You wrote them. I've delivered them.
Have you worked in printing? So it's all.
There we go. They're all here. It's all media.
There you go. So that's.
And I saw an internship going, and I thought that sounds like my kind of thing.
And there you go.
So of course I applied.
The rest was written in the stars.
Well, sorry we didn't put the question any sooner in the podcast, Michael Compton. You might have got a much better answer, but we are tired. So that's the best you're going to get. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you everyone for listening. We'll see you again next week. See you next time.
Bye.
Next week.